most founders we found aren't stuck because they lack intros. They're stuck because they don't have a route that matches their proof, their story, and the buyer's reality. So we're going to be talking about what we call the readiness gap that's hiding inside a founder's distribution. More rooms won't save a broken route to closing business. It just reveals the weakness faster. And Marshall, when you hear, we just need distribution, we just need introductions, what do you suspect is really missing?
Yeah, I hear this a lot. If only people saw my product, if only I could pitch them, if only I could go into the largest wealth management organizations with my WealthTech product, everyone's just going to buy it. That's the only problem I have. And there's a certain amount of overconfidence that founders do have. To some degree, it's a trait that venture investors like, that vision of success and how they're going to get it. And they're telling the VCs that the problem is so big and I have such a great solution to it. And so all I need is to get in front of buyers. In my experience being an operator inside of a wealth tech, you need to ask more questions and validate that the buyers really have the problem that you're talking about and you're talking to the right person. I've sat through so many pitches. The founder talking 30-minute lane, they talk for 30 minutes. They never ask a question. They never validate if any of these points resonate with me. There's multiple things going on here, but the point you brought up, I like the analogy. The route you're running isn't necessarily going to land. If you go into these meetings before you've figured out your ICP, the pain and the problem, and what is going to cause people to resonate and purchase this software, then you have the chance of burning bridges and the brand impressions, the referrals, all of that are at risk. I see a lot of people going too hard, too early after intros, and you don't get a second meeting if you don't do it right the first time. So I'm curious what you see in people's story that maybe they get wrong initially, or the mistakes they make in going into those introductions too soon.
Well, one thing you mentioned was the ICP. And this is kind of funny because nowadays, when we have such easy access to LLMs, we can put our solution in an LLM and, I need to get my ICP. I need to get we get a checklist of all the things we want. And we feel like it's a convincing answer. And so we tend to gloss over these things and we think that we're ready to go to the market because we put our prompt and our solution into ChatGPT or Claude or whoever your choice is. And the research that tells that these things are designed to flatter us. So they're not designed to push back, nor do they have the experience to push back at a deep level. So when you're thinking about speaking to a firm, there's speaking to wealth management. Well, first off, wealth management is not an ICP. What does that even look like? There's a whole broad barrage of different types of people in wealth management, and it's easy to just throw all these things in there together, and they're going to make decisions differently. They're going to have different priorities. And so oftentimes our ICP is much broader than we realize it is. And so they are scanning to see, is this a wide net or is this something that's actually built for me? Are you trying to adapt this to me because you need customers really bad?
Yeah.
They're sensitive to that. Or is this actually built for me? And until you've gotten that in front of several people, talk to people that know the differences, they can push on you. And your thesis is maybe your ICP is not quite as clear as you think it is. Marshall, I run into this all the time with advisors. No, I'm really clear on my ICP. Who's your ICP? Entrepreneurs and business owners and pro athletes and
with money.
Basically anyone with money, right? And so if your ICP is anyone managing wealth, you don't have an ICP. They can smell that when you come into the room. So the story starts at some of the stuff that gets glossed over. You get into a room and you think they got this introduction, this is who I want to buy my product, but it's not evident to them that this is designed for them.
So on the founder journey, it starts on WealthTech. I'm a former advisor. I had this problem. I manage my portfolios this way. So I built the product I've always wanted. This is kind of like the ICP of one. The ICP is me. I built a product for me, made a big assumption. So I just need to go get introduced to people and sell them. And often what happens is they end up selling them philosophy. You should be like me. You should manage your portfolios like me. I built a product so that you can be like me. A huge turnoff because they built a book of business. They're an entrepreneur. They're an advisor. They have their own way of doing all of those things. I built a product for an idea or a problem statement I have. Then I get into the market research phase. This is often where you get beta customers, design partners. This is important because you need to do the market research on the distribution channels, independent advisors, enterprise wealth managers, family offices, institutional investors, endowments. There's a lot of different channels here. And just because they invest in Tesla doesn't mean they're all going to want your WealthTech. Figuring out which channel does this appeal for during this market research phase is very important. Asking for referrals to do a conversation about your market and do a little bit of research, that's a very different introduction than I'm going to show up and throw up for 30 minutes all over you about how you just need to buy my product. What stage are you at once you have the POCs and MVPs? Oftentimes they think they have enough traction to go raise venture capital because 5 people are using a free product with you. Well, that's not necessarily enough traction for that either. So there's a stage of progressions you go from building it for yourself or building with your own vision, pulling in other people into that vision. When you do market research and test the traction that you have, and then when is it really time to scale, get those referrals with your ICP and close deals. Doing all of this in the right order is critical, and knowing the order you need to go in if you're ever going to have a chance of raising capital in the space.
Yeah, I agree. I think that also we think that we can tag on something that everyone cares about, and suddenly that makes it sense. For example, everyone knows that growth is a problem for a lot of firms, especially organic growth. And so people will tag on growth to everything. And yes, absolutely. Increasing growth, especially organic growth, will make anything more valuable. But it's not evident from your product how that's going to happen. How many other things have to happen? How many other things are dependent upon this? How dependent is this on advisor behavior? How dependent is your solution on changing someone's behavior, especially advisor behavior? And even if this is coming up throughout the organization, this is why it matters so much that you understand the vertical or the channel or even the size of the firm that you're coming at, because they are making decisions, different people in different ways. They've already tried something. They've got things that are already going, that they've already moved. Are they going to have to stop those things and go in this direction? This is just when people say, well, I don't know why they said no. Well, probably because of something you don't know about. Choosing you is going to undo something that they've already chosen, or it's going to challenge someone's authority, someone's status. All these things factor into whether something even gets pushed up the pipeline, right? Just because you have an introduction to someone doesn't mean that person is an influencer, decision maker, or that they're willing to take a potential reputation hit by presenting this as an idea that they're not sure that they want to be attached to. So a lot of times this psychological understanding of the environment and how to approach these things is the difference between getting deals done and things sitting in, hey, we like you. Yeah, we like the timing's not right now, next quarter, this summer, in the fall, that sort of thing. That's like, hey, honestly, this is not a big priority right now. I don't see how this connects for me. I don't see how this connects for my firm. It's the generality.
Yeah, who you're talking to matters and what's their motivation. If you're going to go talk to an enterprise, bank wealth management, they're largely probably have more salary, less incentive comp. They're often have less incentives to grow their book. They get a lot of referrals from other departments. They got a big book of business. You go to an independent advisor that just broke away, starting their own practice. They are hungry to grow. And if you can align with them, they're very likely to make a purchasing decision very quickly. Where are you at with the product development? Can you even talk to enterprises? They get all excited when they got a pitch with one of those people, but it's very likely they're not ready, and they should be talking to independent advisors first who are entrepreneurs. If they like what you're showing them, they can make a purchase decision quickly. And that's the kind of momentum you need and validation you need to win bigger customers. You also need more enterprise security. You need more vendor management issues. You need a SOC 2. Well, you don't go straight from, I don't have any customers to that. That's a very risky path. Typically, you have a more sloped path. So choosing the right market to get in front of at the stage that you're at is critical to not wasting time getting intros to people at the wrong stage or the wrong incentive.
Yeah, that's huge. We really focused this conversation, Marshall, on introductions to buyers. We should probably just do a follow-up episode on introductions to investors. That's a whole other can of worms we could open up in the next episode. Yeah.
That's its own thing. But oftentimes when people pitch me as a venture investor and I turn them down, they say, oh, well, can you introduce me to any other venture investors? 90% of the time, that's not help, because a venture investor introducing you to somebody else that you said no to is an instant turnoff. There are some times you're talking to an A series investor and they need an introduction to a seed. So if they really like you, they might introduce you to some seed folks, but you need to be careful about who you ask to introduce you to other investors. And if they're telling you no, they may not be telling you the real reason they're saying no. It's very possible that the reason is they don't actually believe in you, the product you're building, or the business plan. And that's not a good time to ask them for an introduction to another venture investor, because they will tell that other venture investor what they think.
Back to Marshall. Marshall, before we wrap up, what route mistakes are most lethal to wealth tech founders?
It's going too early to pitching your product to too many people when you haven't figured out your ICP, you haven't figured out what you truly do that differentiates. You don't know what they're doing today and what's going to cause their behavior to shift. And so doing specific expansion of your narrative, of your sales pitch, to trusted people first who want to give you time, who want to give you good feedback, is critical at that early stage. You don't want to go out and start spraying and praying too early. That's the most common route issue I see. You're just flinging the football up in the air at the 4th and 20 with 1 second left, and you're just hoping and praying that it lands. Hope's not a good strategy. Being methodical about it is key. Figuring out what route to run, what route the receiver's running, and throwing a pass where you have a higher degree of success is key.
Summarizing that a little bit and adding to it, it's easy for us to want to thinking more is better, but we can spend those chips too early, and it's hard to get someone to re-engage again with something that didn't really go anywhere. It's hard to get them to reconsider once you have made improvements. So you want to be leveraging your network and the people that are close to you. And if you don't have those people, you got to go get them somehow. And that's one of the reasons that we've created the WealthTech Founders Lab, is for founders that, hey, I'm getting no's and not yet's all over the place, and there's something that I'm missing. I need someone that's going to tell me the truth about this, both from the capital side of getting funded and from the buyer side of how these decisions are made and how these things are positioned. Am I even positioning these things the right way? Oftentimes we can spend these introductions too early and you just can't get them back. So if you want to stop guessing whether you need a better route, better readiness, or better adoption, run the WealthTech Founders Labs, Growth Labs diagnostic.